So if you decided you want to do your associates, start looking at getting into the field. That's one little small point. I was looking to get in the field early. I started working. I actually got my first job as an electrician a year before I graduated. I graduated in May 2019. I got my first job October 2018. Started working in the field, getting a feel for it, and I fell in love with it. But start applying for jobs even when you first apply for school. I went to school. I took 15 credit hours and was working 52 hours a week. It was hard, but hey, I got it done. It was worth it, because I also got to see blending it all together, doing what I was doing in class and doing it hands-on. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, when you get into the field, it's totally different than being in school. You all have different things that might pop up. You're like, oh, I don't understand this. I had, dealing with, trying to run controls, dealing with 480. That was terrifying at first, dealing with 480, but once I got used to it, now I'm around 480 all the time. Just got to have a proper PPE, but off that fact is also going forward into when you start working in the field, you never know. This is the point of, I call it working your way into your bachelor's or master's degree. So if you still want to go out and be an engineer, you can still do it, but there's nothing wrong with working in the field as a tech first, because techs need engineers need tech. And I feel like working your way up, starting as a tech, you get a feel of what it's like to be at a tech level and seeing what the engineers do. Because what you do is basically, engineers design, we build, maintain. That's what we do. As a tech, you build, maintain, troubleshoot, fix. But the engineers design it. And you kind of get to get a better understanding of how it is when you're at the tech level. You get to understand how the machine works. But sometimes, like I've heard it all the time. I'm not saying all engineers, and that's another point I'm gonna talk about point I got from Janeka Rodriguez, who was a counselor at Perry State. When you work at a tech level or even at a contractor, when you're in the trade as a carpenter, you get to see how it is, how the engineers designed it. And it might be something that might I can do this. I can design this. But there's a lot of engineers that don't know how to do the tech stuff. They'll design it, but they don't really know how to build it. They don't know how to understand how, when it's put together, how it actually, they know how it's supposed to work, but the techs know how it should work, how it's going to work, because they like I said, they build, test, troubleshoot, whatever. So that's where the techs come into play. I feel like the techs are the very important part of the manufacturing chain. So yeah, but back on the point, like perfect example. I was talking to my counselor at Perry State one day, and I found out that Janeka Rodriguez, because my main counselor is Denny Brackett, but Janeka Rodriguez kind of talked to me about her husband was I think it was a trade. He's a trade carpenter by trade, and he worked in the field for years, like few years, like 7-8 years, and decided I want to become an engineer. So coming from that side of, and he kind of battled with it, because he loved being a carpenter, but he also knew as being a carpenter, we get broke, like as techs, as whatever manufacturing tech, carpenter, whatever like skilled trade that you're in, hands-on, it's going to be physically taxing. So when he went to start his engineering, having that tech experience, jobs wanted him. When he had his intern, we was applying for internship, they found that he had experience as a carpenter, like actually working on the buildings, they wanted him. It's like, not a lot of guys have this. They fresh out of school, but they don't have that tech side. They know how to design, but they don't have that tech side, understanding how it works to the troubleshooting and the test level. And when they wanted, like, that's why I'm trying to tell you, like, when you're in the field working and then you decide to go with your engineering degree and you go back and say, oh, I was a tech, I used to, build and troubleshoot these machines. that the engineers designed, they gonna want you because you know how to actually fix this thing. You know, you've done it before, and they're gonna be like, oh wow, you know, you're gonna be more profitable. Because this is the thing. Think about it this way: if you worked in the field, you saved up your money, you made money in the field, and then, like I said, if you do all the tips I gave you, do all those tips, sometimes you might not even have paid for school. And then you worked and you decide, I want to go back and get my bachelor's. You get your engineering degree, and you got these 2-3 years of technical experience. You're gonna make yourself more profitable, and you're gonna have a better understanding. When you go back to school, you're gonna have a better understanding on how these things actually work at an engineering level. So then on top of that, like for example, SIUC. SIU has a capstone program where they use your applied science degree, associate applied science degree, and put it towards your bachelor's degree. So if all you gotta do is probably two more years of engineering school, and then you don't even have to probably compare it to a guy that's just going like right out of high school, gets an engineering degree, and spends $60,000-$70,000 in student loan debt. You only probably, if you decide to take a loan out, probably 30, 35 at the most. And then on top of that, then you might even have the money saved up. If you do it the smart way, you got the money saved up to pay for half your school at least. You still go out there and look for scholarships, because there's a lot of scholarships out there, you know. And especially if you went really hard and got great grades while you got your associates, it's gonna make you more you're gonna get more scholarships. So you might not even spend that much in school. Then you look at your career. That's another thing, career profile. You look at your career profile, and you got, 3 years of tech experience and your engineering degree. Oh man, you write your own ticket. You guaranteed making 6 figures. And you're gonna be better off than this, because engineers gonna start entry level 70, probably 70, 75. Some even make less than that because they don't have the experience. But you got so you starting at 65, 70, and they 70,000 student loan debt. I would rather be $25,000, $30,000 student loan debt, and because I got the tech experience, I'm starting off at 100,000 a year. Like, which one sounds better? Honestly, come on. So and that even touches on if you're going from nurse to doctor, dental hygienist to dentist. You being a hygienist, then you decide to want to be a dentist. It looks better on a resume. It looks better on your career profile. So that's the last point I'll make about work your way. I just say the best way to do it, if you want to go into your bachelor's, master's, or doctorates, work your way up. Start in the field as a tech, start in the field as a nurse, whatever, and build your way up into going to get that doctorate. So the last point I want to work on is, I just want to tell my story.